against the Cavaliers last night, but then Cleveland took over and the Knicks never really could catch back up. The third quarter was really the worst shooting quarter by the Knicks since 2018. And at one point in the fourth, the Cavs were up by 20. The Cavs are now tied with the Knicks for third place in the East. But let's go back to that bad third quarter. Coming out of halftime, the Knicks were down 6. Then they only scored 11 points. They made only 3 field goals. That is their fewest points in any quarter since 2022 and their worst field goal percentage in any quarter since 2016. Not good in the second half at all for the Knicks. Shanae Gumake is here with us. And so, Shanae, I'll go to you first. Were you more encouraged by Cleveland or discouraged by the Knicks? Help Stephen A.
Oh, poor Stephen A. Smith. I can see it right here. You know that LMA song, Feeling So Deep in My Feelings? Watching that game, I knew Stephen A. Smith was going to be deep in his feelings. Stephen A., when did you turn it off? Third quarter? Fourth quarter? When did you put the misery away?
Third quarter.
Yeah, I knew it. Sorry, let me not laugh at your pain. I knew it. I knew it. I genuinely feel for Knicks fans because at the start of the season, this is a team on paper that to me was a clear-cut favorite. It took a generational run by Tyrese Halliburton and the best offense at that time in the NBA to keep them from advancing to the NBA Finals. And this year it's like, okay, we made the controversial coaching change. We're going to right the wrongs. But so far in the sample size against the best teams in the East, they are sub 500. They are 4-5 against the Cavs, the Celtics, and obviously the Pistons. And what I'll say here is I am more encouraged by far by what I've seen from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I say this because it is not easy to drop in a new player, James Harden, and honestly play your best version of basketball right after. Mind you, James Harden is probably one of the most heavily criticized players. Also, he left a good thing, the Clippers, that win streak, when he left, for a great thing, which is now the Cleveland Cavaliers being 6-1 since he has arrived. I am in awe of what is happening in Cleveland because right now we're talking about no longer the Knicks coming out of the East, and obviously the favorites are the Detroit Pistons, but the Cleveland Cavaliers have absolutely entered the conversation, and that 3 right there probably made you sick, Stephen A. It probably made you sick because there was no New York Knicks defender in sight. They gave them too many easy looks. The Cavs just disposed of them quite easily, especially in the second half. Last, I'll say this. James Harden came for 3 reasons. One, he said he wants to win a championship, and to me that was interesting to say that and also back it up with his play. 2, he has to make Donovan Mitchell look great, and so far Don has looked happy and brought new life to this organization, to this franchise. 3, he had to really unlock the bigs. Jarrett Allen, since James Harden has arrived, 11 from 12 from the field, 10 for 16, 8 for 8, 5 for 8, 11 for 15, 4 for 6, 7 for 8 last night, averaging 20 points and shooting 77% from the field. I did not have that on my bingo card with where the Cavs were about 2 months ago. Now we're talking about them potentially being the ones, the squad, to make it to the NBA Finals.
Good point, Shanae.
I wanted to look up what the New York Knicks gave up for Mikal Bridges because I want everybody to understand the magnitude of that move. They gave up Bogdanovich, including 4 unprotected first-round picks in 2025, 2027, 2029, and 2031, and a protected first-round pick via Milwaukee to get Mikal Bridges. Now, we know that the brother can be relied upon to show up on the court. And we know that he's an Iron Man in that regard. But he's not even an all-star. The Phoenix Suns, didn't get that in return for Kevin Durant. The Dallas Mavericks didn't get that in return for Luka Doncic. You see what the Knicks have given up. And I tell this to America, in the basketball world, it is literally the only thing you can blame Jalen Brunson for. Because being the face of the franchise, the star of the New York Knicks, knowing basketball well enough to know what help you would need, you want your boy. Yes, you sacrificed over $100 million by signing early so the New York Knicks could go and get your boy. They ultimately give him $150 million, so you have your former college teammate at Villanova that's now with you in the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson didn't look at the NBA landscape and understand what it would take to win it all. Because the New York Knicks have Giannis Antetokounmpo this past summer, if they had about 2 or 3 of those picks. They have him, doggy. They have him, Shanae. But that didn't happen. And the reason why I find myself miserable is because I'm looking at the New York Knicks team right now that's clearly not the same without Tom Thibodeau. That grit and that grind that we saw from them the last couple of years, we're not seeing that now. There was slippage defensively, which we knew would occur. What we expected was an upgrade offensively. Karl Anthony Towns doesn't look the same. They don't look the same offensively from three-point range. I'm looking at a New York Knicks team right now, 3 of 24 in the fourth quarter, 1 of 12 from three-point range. In their 3 losses to the Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers this month, they've shot a collective 26 of 105. That is 25% from three-point range. Ladies and gentlemen, I usually don't say this on national television, but I'm pissed off. You don't even understand how pissed off I am at this New York Knicks team right now. You have a championship, at the very least, within your grasp. And it looks like they've blown it because Boston has upgraded because Jaylen Brown has ascended and Jason Tatum is going to return. The Detroit Pistons have ascended, and they got an axe to grind with the New York Knicks, and they've shown us because they've outscored them by 84 points and stomped them so bad there's immigration issues going on in the National Basketball Association because the New York Knicks are being exiled from the state of Michigan. That's how bad they've gotten their ass kicked by the Pistons, okay? And then you've got the Cleveland Cavaliers that go out and they get James Harden to pair with Donovan Mitchell. And by the way, despite James Harden's struggles in big games, we know the brother is an elite scorer when he wants to be. He's an elite point guard when he wants to be. And big men religiously are better with him on the basketball court because he knows how to get them the ball, and he's gifted enough to be able to spread the floor for them to operate in space when he's getting it to them and he's not choosing to launch long range. The New York Knicks have about 3 teams that are standing in their way right now, and I'm sick to my stomach because next year don't look no better when Tyrese Halliburton gets back. Orlando continues to ascend. I'm so disgusted I can't even put into words. Go ahead, doggy.
Well, Mikal Bridges is the 5th best Knick, so you can't give up 5 picks for your 5th best player. He's not as good as Hart, not as important to the Knicks. He's not as good as Towns. He's not as good as an OG, and he's certainly not as good as as Brunson. That was a bad trade. All right. Now, I'm not going to kill Rose because that was a phenomenal move getting Brunson. GMs are not going to go, they're not going to be 100%. I hated the Thibodeau firing. I don't care what Steve says. I don't care.